Welcome to another epic home studio setup. Today we're gonna go hang out with my friend Ryan Prewett. Ryan is a producer, an audio engineer, an artist, and a musician who makes a ton of different styles of music, also just produces sessions for artists here in Nashville. He, like me, has a home studio in a room above his garage. This whole A-frame thing that we keep seeing here in Nashville. A lot of people have done it, but he actually took his room down to the studs and really built it to be a purpose-built room. I'll put links to Ryan, his social media, and some of his music down in the description if you guys want to check it out. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater, and I actually wanted to shout out something that I've been using for a very, very long time. These are the ATH M50Xs from Audio-Technica. Very, very durable and also can take a beating. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. We just crossed 122,000, which is pretty crazy. I've got some new stuff coming for you, so I appreciate each and every one of you for watching these videos. Yeah, let's go check out Ryan's epic home studio. Oh yeah. Dang, dude. Look at this door. This is so nice. Wow. I can tell immediately coming in here that it's like, it almost feels like a different structure. All right, so what is this room? What do you do in here? And then I'm gonna ask you a little bit about how it was put together.
So I do a lot of producing and mixing. I play keys on the road a little bit, but my main focus is definitely producing and mixing. I do producing, like work for hire stuff.
So you do your own like artist music as well?
Yeah, I don't sing, but I do, like I make tracks and feature artists a lot. That's been growing for the past few years.
First off, are you from Nashville originally?
No, I grew up in Missouri, in the Ozarks, in a small town.
And then how long have you been here in town?
I've been around probably about 15 years.
How long have you been in this house, and what was this room like before you turned it into this?
So last year we moved in June to this house. When we looked for a new house, we had an idea of what we wanted for the studio build, so we knew we were gonna start it as soon as we moved, or as soon as we could. So Niles built the room, and I had been talking to him maybe for a year before we moved.
The design and
the
stuff
design and just what to look for, and the option of a separate room or separate structure. So it was kind of a drawn out process, but eventually we found the right house, started the build a couple months after we moved in.
It not only feels new, but it is pretty new.
Yeah, so Niles took it down to the studs. He added mass loaded vinyl on the studs for soundproofing, and on top of that, that adds its space between the sheetrock. And then there are 2 layers of 5/8 drywall with green glue. Yeah, he didn't change the structure at all. So the ceiling was already vaulted this way.
And that cloud, what is that? That's gotta be 15 feet long.
I think it is 15 feet long.
So you've been in here for 6-7 months. How are you adjusting?
Really good. I also added a trim-off system, but I didn't have that in my last space. That made a pretty big difference.
And then you've got these speakers. I'm gonna jump right into your gear stuff, because this is kinda grabbing my attention. The sound anchors, are those ADJ2s? And then these are the 25s?
Yes.
How long have you had those?
I've had those about 2 or 3 years. I'd say out of all the gear I've ever bought, those were the biggest game changer.
Oh, and you got a little sub up there. What's that sub?
JL Audio Fathom sub.
And you've got a nice clean workstation set up here. 2 keyboards, you got the 88 weighted and the Prophet 6. Prophet 6 is also defaults as MIDI controller.
Yeah, well, this is the main MIDI controller, because
Oh, okay.
it's just a MIDI controller.
What's this machine thing? I've never seen this one.
I do use it a lot. This is one of the older machines.
All right, and then what's the system here? What's the computer interface situation?
So I have an iMac sitting in the floor. A few years ago, I knocked it over, and I was gonna replace it, and the screens are so expensive that it was cheaper to buy a large television, which works better anyway. So my main monitoring goes through the links, and there's 2 inputs on it. So most of the time, if I'm doing overdubs, I'll use those inputs because they're super clean. The system is the Apollo system. The links Hilo is on the SPDIF output, and you can mirror your main output to go to SPDIF, so it just makes the same. Which is really nice. So I'm always monitoring through that, and usually I track through it too.
So does that do conversion, like I/O conversion, or?
Yeah, it's 2 in and 2 out. Actually, I think there's 4 out, but I'm only using 2. Those are my favorite preamps. Usually I use the Cappies for drums, for kick, snare, and toms, and then the TG2s on overheads. That's Locomotive Audio is a company, right. And that's a 2-channel tube preamp. I would say I use the TG2s the most for overdubs.
Tell me about some of this other key stuff here that you got.
Yeah, so the Prophet 6 here is my favorite synth. I think it's the most versatile. Yeah, so that's my main synth. If I do sessions at other places, I can take it. It's pretty small. I also have the Oberheim. It's cool to just push it out of the way when I'm not using it. It's very 80s sounding. Ooh. And generally pretty bright. It can be really aggressive if you want it to be. I feel like the Prophet's way more easy to get, like a warm kind of thing that blends in with most. I do some 80s synthwave type stuff. It's awesome for that.
Did you make these cables?
I did not make the cables.
The 1/4 inch, you didn't make those?
No, those are Vintage King cables.
Sweet, and then you got your panel here on the diffuser wall, which looks like it goes maybe back there to the drums?
No, it goes to a spare bedroom.
Oh, okay, so you got a panel in another room.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? This is not a B3, but close.
Right, it's an A100. The inside is exactly the same as a B3. Originally built with internal speakers down here.
Yeah.
To be like an in-home version of the B3 back in the day. You can easily mod it to use with the Leslie, and it's just like a B3.
And then you do have the Leslie over here.
Yeah,
this is a clean Leslie too.
Yeah, it's a Leslie 122. Those are Bayer Dynamic MC930. They're small diaphragm condensers. Since this is a Mini Moog reissue.
You got a Wurlitzer here?
Yep.
What do you like to run that into?
So most of the time I leave all my keyboards DI'd here. So I keep these cables labeled and it's all wired up to where everything is just ready to go. Everything's just ready to go. It's labeled in console. That's how I usually work. And then also the drums stay plugged into the Cappies. I kind of just find things I really like and just commit to the sound. And also it's just so much easier to not be experimenting all the time.
Some vocal mics here.
This is the Mojave MA1000.
Oh, whoa.
Which is a 251 capsule, but the electronics are a little beefier. It's my main vocal mic. Pretty much anybody sounds good on it. I got that early on. I borrowed one from somebody and shot it out against some other high-end mics.
And then you have this guy. This is the 47, right?
Yeah, that's the Warm 47. I like it a lot. I use it for vocals on some stuff when I want a little bit more retro sound. And sometimes I'll use it if a singer has a thinner voice.
Yeah.
And I want to thicken it up a little bit.
I love that it's just like everything's up and ready and the room still feels big, open, and clean. And then you've got a kit back here too.
I'll record a rhythm section at one time. That's about as big as a tracking session as I need to do. So I have just enough room that's comfortable. Guitar amps go to that speaker panel, and that goes to the ISO cab. Yeah, I don't record vocals at the same time as drums ever. I'll set up a little station for a bass player here. I'll have bass, guitar, and drums.
And then you got this beautiful piano over here. This is nice.
Yeah, a friend of mine just asked if I wanted to keep it here. I didn't know at first if I wanted it because I don't just want to have a piano if it's not useful.
Sure.
But I like it a lot. I went over and played it. And so we got it over here and I've been using it quite a bit. I usually mic it with these Stager ribbon mics.
These are microphones I have never seen before. Tell me about these.
These are Stager SR2Ns. Stager is a local company here in Nashville. I would say they're pretty close to a Kohl's. They are at most, or some retailers online, I know. So it's pretty easy to find them. The guy, I think it is one guy that makes them, or it's a small company for sure, so it might take a minute to get them. But he does distribute through some of the online retailers. I also have another Stager that is a bigger one. SR3. The SR2 ends that I have on the overheads are pretty dark. It sounds good on acoustic, some other stuff like that. I've used it on vocals. So I also use it on kick out.
All right, what's on that kick in there? Is that a D12?
Yeah, it's a D12E from the 60s. I don't buy a lot of vintage mics because I don't really want old stuff to fix, but this is one thing I haven't found a modern mic that sounds like. When I'm doing more retro soul kind of stuff, I use this on the kick in and the Stager on the out, this Telefunken kick mic M82. If I'm going for more of a modern punchy sound, I'll put that on the inside.
What is that?
That's an SC, I think it's a V7X. I like it a lot better than a 57, a little brighter and more open sounding. That's an old Octava MK012. There used to be a lot of those around.
And then is this acrylite? What is that?
Yeah, it's a 70s acrylite. In the kit is a 60s Slingerland. Yeah, when I wanted to get a drum kit to have as a house kit, that was a certain sound that I wanted as a producer just to have as the go-to sound. And if we need a different kit, we won't even record here. We'll just go somewhere where there's a bigger kit, or like I don't want to move it out. And I'm pretty specific now on the stuff I produce where this is what we use. What
are some projects that people can go check out that either you have written that are your projects or stuff you've produced?
You can look up my name on streaming, Ryan Prewett. You can also just go to my website, ryanprewett.com.
And if there's someone who really digs like this style and is an local artist, can they reach out to you via the website, or how do they do that?
Yeah, there's a contact form on there that they can reach out. And they don't have to be local. Cool people to work with if they're the right fit.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been great. I'll put links to all Ryan's stuff down in the description. Give him a follow, and we'll see you guys in the next video.